it's Bonnie Southgate, hEDS Rehab here, and today I thought I would take you through just the basic footwork. We have some other videos which show things to look out for people who have hypermobile knees and joints, and I thought what I would do is just take you through, if you are somebody who has hypermobility and you do have a reformer, which some of you do, I know, so these might be really welcome videos. Just take you through the footwork that you can either do with me or you can listen to and do for yourself. And I will talk you through the different positions and the things to think about to make your exercises the best they can be. So I've put cushioning down, which I don't necessarily need for myself, but you can see is an option if somebody's feels uncomfortable lying on their backs. Sometimes when you're extremely tight in the thoracics, that can be painful if you're lying on something too hard. And then making sure that you have enough head cushions that actually that head is in a nice position when lying on your back. So in order to get onto the equipment, you want to be scooting yourself right back so that your knees are supported. And then what I recommend is you start to try and pivot with the legs together. You try and pivot on the reformer so that you're facing the foot bar. And then you're going to then very gently scoot your bottom down and pop the feet up on the bar to begin with before gently lying back down with your shoulders against those headrests. So if your feet are uncomfortable, you can have a cushion under your feet. Sometimes I allow people to wear shoes if they've got their orthotics in, and that if you're working at home, that's not a bad idea, because that will help to keep those feet in a probably better position if you lack the proprioception. So I'm just going to gently start with the feet in a comfortable position on the ball of the feet. And I want you to think about, you can have your legs resting together. I want you to think about the heels being down. So the position when you're lying down on the reformer, we don't want you to be too tucked under, because then you're holding lots of tension in the back of the legs and around the hips. So it's about starting off trying to let the thigh bones relax and the back of the legs relax, and allow the sacrum and all around the buttocks area to completely relax. Now, I like to do something called an MET before I do my footwork. And so one of the things with METs is Pilates don't normally do them. This is something that as a sports therapist, I learned through my sports therapy training, but it did seem to really prepare my muscles in a way for the footwork that was better. So I've got two little tiny exercises I like to do before I do my footwork. The first one is just gently taking the leg and bringing it in. And I just hold either underneath or the top of the knee, it doesn't matter, which is more comfortable for you. And this is 10% effort, not a lot. I'm very gently pushing my knee into my hand. And when I do that, I'm trying to activate muscles right down by the hip to actually push the leg away. So I'm very gently pushing that leg away. And then I'm going to relax and just let the hip come into where it's comfortable. So not into a pinchy place, where it's comfortable. And I'm going to gently push the leg away again. So I'm just neurologically activating that back chain a little bit to work, and then relax. And I'm going to do that 3 times. Very gently pushing my knee into my hands. And then I'm going to relax, bringing that foot onto the bar. I'm going to change and hold the other leg. So from here, I'm very gently pushing my knee into my hand. So muscle energy release techniques are a way of letting the brain have some neurological information about the muscles, and it can actually make you feel like it relaxes the muscles. And I use this a lot with my people who have hypermobility or not, and it works a treat for everybody. And relax. And we're going to do one more. We're going to gently push the knee into my hand. And relax. Now the next one that I'm going to do is to take one leg
over the other one. And then from the hip to take the knee open to where it's comfortable. So it may be that your leg doesn't go very far and that's where you go, or it may be that it falls right out to the side. Now things that you want to think about and watch is that you don't hitch the hip to take that knee open, so that the pelvis or the hip bones want to stay level and that leg just goes. Now I'm making sure that my foot's not there and I'm not doing funny things with my foot. I'm all the way across, so I'm on this bit of the leg across the other one. And I'm going to take my hand here, and it's the same thing. I'm going to super gently push that knee into my hand. It's really, really, really light effort. And then I'm going to relax. And this was one of the things that really helped I have quite a lot of tension, and I'd had surgery on my knee and my foot on this side, which was obviously affecting the hip. And this really, really helped with my hip and my legs, and kind of set the scene for my footwork to be more effective. So gently push that knee into your hand. And this is something that no other Pilates teacher will do, so it's a really great tip. And relax. And one more time, gently push the knee into the hand. So if you're a Pilates teacher watching this, try it out. You're going to absolutely love it with all your clients. And relax, change legs. So I'm going to take the other foot across, and then I'm going to let it just rest open. You see I have a lot more mobility on that leg than the other one. So it doesn't hurt to do it on both sides. Even if I already have the mobility, it will never hurt. Just gently push that knee into the hand. So I usually do both sides no matter what. And then relax. And I can do the same thing again, very gently pushing. And relax. And one more time, very gently pushing. And relax. Now I'm going to bring my legs back onto the bar. We're going to start with the pads of the feet on the bar, and we're just going to let the ankles drop down. So looking at the springs, so it depends on whether you have a reformer with bungee cord or with springs, and no matter what it is, as somebody who has hypermobility, we're all extremely different, and the levels of strength will vary enormously. So if you are on a reformer, like a big reformer like this, which is a stock reformer, I start, if the client or the person is quite deconditioned, I usually start with 1.5 springs, or if I was on what we call a balanced body reformer, a lot of them, I would have 1 red and 1 blue. If it gets too light, it actually makes you work harder. So sometimes if you go too light, you don't necessarily work the muscles to strengthen your legs. You work the stabilizers, but actually it can be quite a lot of effort and you can get a bit grippy. So it's finding that fine line between actually working the muscles of the legs without actually making you grip to hold the carriage. So I am going to put it on a much higher spring for myself, because I've done lots of reformer work. You know, you want to be continuing to, if you're working on the reformer, you want to be continuing to try and add weights as and when you can, because obviously one of the things we're aiming for is to strengthen up the musculature to support the joints so that they don't dislocate. And also we know through research that the less muscle you have, the more what we call nociceptors you have, and those are receptors for pain. So actually, the more you can build that muscle, the less pain receptors you have. So being able to build strength can really help with the pain as well. So I'm going to come back onto my back. Now I've got the weight that I want. And I'm starting with my parallel legs to begin with, and I'm just thinking about nice relaxed hips. And so I have two options when I push. I might use my shoulders to push away. I want to keep my shoulders really relaxed. And I'm just going to push the bar away as I straighten my legs. Now I'm not going to let myself hyperextend. So I'm going to try and actively feel like I'm lifting my thighs up. And then as I come back in, I'm going to gently let everything relax. I'm trying not to tuck under when I push. So what you want to look out for is that when someone pushes, is their back doesn't flatten as they push. So they're not staying stable in their spine if that's the case. So all of this wants to stay super stable. If you feel it's too much on your quads to push, you need to think about the bones you sit on, and it's not tucking them, it's almost narrowing the tops of the legs together as you push, and that, along with the quadriceps, are the muscles that you need to work to straighten your knees and your hips. So we don't want all of one set doing the work, we want a nice balanced use of muscles. So I'm going to push the bar away, but I'm going to narrow what I call my sit bones. And if you're feeling your spine move, then you haven't worked out how to do that yet. So you should be able to feel like you almost make a dimple from narrowing, but my spine is not moving, as you can see. So I'm getting a narrowing. I'm going to narrow there, and I'm going to push away, and I'm going to stay narrowing there, so I'm active. And then as I come back in, I'm going to let everything relax and go. My ankles are letting go, and so are my hips. And so what I would suggest is that you start to count the number that you do. So maybe you start with 3 or more. So you start with a low number of reps. And then we're going to change the foot position. So I would recommend starting with maybe 3 in that position. Now we're going to go to our heels on. And we're going to think about the ankles being relaxed, and we're going to do exactly the same thing. And you're going to push into those heels, watching the ankles don't roll in. So I don't want to see the little toe end up. I want it to be as neutral as possible, those ankles. So not rolling, you don't want to be on the inside of the heels with the knees together, and you don't want to be rolled out with the knees out. You want to think that your kneecaps line up with your hips, and that your heels line up with the bones that you sit on. And then you're going to push away again. You can narrow those sit bones as you push away, and then come back in and let it relax. And let's do 3 in that position, pushing away, and then coming back in. And again, pushing away, and coming back in. One more thing that I didn't mention or talk about before is the angle of the leg. So some of the equipment have stoppers and some of them don't. I'm quite short, so in a very perfect world, I would really want my knee over my hip, but unfortunately the machines are for slightly taller people. But you want to set yourself so your knees aren't there, and they're not a long way away, but roughly in line with the hip bone, or about where I am is fine as well. So I've done 3 in that position. I'm going to drop back down onto the balls of my feet, and now I'm going to take my knees slightly open until my heels come together. And again, I'm going to watch that I don't lift my little toes up, or that my ankle bones are coming together. So I'm in this position, and I'm going to narrow those sit bones as I push, and I'm going to try and keep my heels together. So at no point do I let my heels separate, and at no point do I let my knees hyperextend and come back in. So that would be not using those muscles, that would be moving passively, and we want you moving actively. And you're going to push away. That's it. So thinking of the inner thighs drawing together, and then coming back and letting everything go. So each time you come back in, making sure that the hips relax. We're going to do one more there. You're going to push away, and then you're going to come all the way back in, controlling it. And then we're going to move to another position where we have our heels on the bar, but we've taken them to the edges or the sides of the bar, and the knees are going to aim to be over those second toes. And again, you're watching the foot position doesn't roll in or roll out crazy. So trying to keep what we call a neutral position, kneecap over second toe and slightly wider than hips. Make sure that you haven't started to arch your backs. So you shouldn't feel that your pubic bone is lower than your hip bones or that it's higher. So if you take your hands in a little triangle and you place the heel of your hands on the two bony bits here, and then the fingers on the pubic bone. It wants to be level. You may feel, if you're somebody with a really, what we call lordotic spine, that you're really archy in your ribs. I want you to just try and relax your back, relax your spine, and find that position. Don't force anything into any discomfort. You're going to reach into those heels again, and you're going to push away until your legs straighten, but they don't hyperextend. And then you're going to come back in, and you're going to let everything relax. So as I do this, it's really important you feel like your spine is not moving, you're not tucking your bum under, and then coming back in. And we'll do one more, and you're going to push away. And you're going to come all the way back in and relax. Now you can finish there if you want, but if you've done Pilates on the reformer and you want to do a little bit more, we could go into the last foot position, which is to bring your feet together. We're going to lift those heels up. Now, I don't want people to just shove the heels forward and just jam up into those bones. So you're going to think about just lifting the heel a bit, finding that platform of the toes. You're going to push away until the legs are straight. And now you're going to think about reaching those heels, but I want you to feel like your knees almost soften. So you're not sitting in the back of those knees. You're almost feeling like you bend them, and that way you'll get much better movement at the ankle joint as you reach the heel. And then I want you to think that you're active in the whole leg as you lift the heel up. And you're going to think about those knees staying soft as you reach. So I'm not doing that because then my ankles can't move, and I'm stretching really important muscles for strengthening the back of my knee if I let that happen. So I'm unlocking them, and then I'm lifting up. And we can do that 3 times again, dropping down and lifting up, and then come all the way back in, bringing those feet back on the bar. And then we're just gently going to take the knees to one side. I want you to keep those knees together. Watch that you don't start to tighten around the shoulders. So as the knees go to the right, I'm going to just think about opening the left shoulder or keeping that shoulder down and coming back up. And as I take my knees the other way, I'm going to keep this on. You don't have to take the elbow out, but keep the shoulder open and coming back. We can do that again in each direction, just to get the spine moving, because we know we like to move when we're hypermobile. And we're going to finish by bringing both knees into your chest, gently pushing away, opening up the back in the spine and back, and relaxing. And we'll do that 3 times. So we've done everything in 3s today, and you can make a note of that and then see how you feel. So we're going to come off here. That can be one of the harder things. So if you can just roll up, that's fine. But if not, you're going to rotate to your side. And you can very gently try and then slowly push yourself up, bringing your feet to the floor, taking your time, because now if you've got POTS or dysautonomia, you're going to want to sit for a minute. Let's take our fingertips and pull them apart, because that's going to help bring the blood back up quicker, and that's going to help your dizziness slow down quicker. So just sitting there, a little bit of pulling. You can just do a few little foot pumps as well. And once you feel like everything is settled, then you're free to finish and go. So I would recommend you start with 3 sets. And then if you're okay the next day, then the next time you do it, you can try 4, and then you keep building from there. And you'll find the number of reps that suits you. If that's too much, doing 3 with the different foot positions, take 1 foot position, just start with 3 and go from there. So with everything that we do, we want to be graded in our approach and our exercises, and then carry on and do try and increase it though, because it is really important to try and increase over time. So, and that's entirely up to you, and you know how you feel better than anyone else.
Anyway, I hope that you find this video useful. I know there won't be a lot of you out there that have reformers, but I highly recommend that you at least try and find a class that's got reformers. It's a really fantastic way. You're lying down to strengthen up those leg muscles. So this is Bonnie Southgate, hEDS Rehab. Thank you for watching, and I will be back with another video soon. Take care. Have a great day.